Hello there. Today we are going to be talking about I want to learn how to code, a very sensitive topic which is quite common amongst a lot of folks today. It's very easy for you to see people who just say, I want to learn how to code, or they're already into coding, and a lot of these people are just lost. They really do not understand what they're doing. And I feel like this is because they haven't asked themselves a lot of questions why they're deciding to learn how to code, and if there are actually alternatives and stuff like that. Sometimes maybe you could just start with something like WordPress or Excel, and you find yourself understanding things gradually, and then you become a coder. And like there are just so many ways to go about this, and I feel like a lot of people are getting it wrong. So in this video we ask ourselves some fundamental questions and how we can like try to get things right by answering these fundamental questions correctly when beginning our coding journey. Okay, just before we go ahead with the video, I am Noel from Stacknet, and you can find me on Twitter with the handle Noellinks. All right. Um, in computing, or with computing, there have always been questions about programming. People are always confused about programming and stuff like that. And this is something that even the father of programming, Charles Babbage himself, experienced, because people asked him if whether they put in wrong figures into the computer, it's just going to magically produce the right ones. I mean, programming is one of those stuffs that really get people confused, and knowing when to start is a serious problem. So we're just going to go ahead and see how you can start coding right away. Okay, first of all, before we talk about how you're going to start coding, let's define why do you want to learn how to code. It's quite important for you to know why you will be learning how to code. So that's what we're going to be talking about in the first part of this video. And then in the second part, I'm going to tell you a tale, or still in this video, but the second part of this video, I'm going to be telling you how or a tale, and this tale is just to bring into perspective certain things that can help you decide where you really fall. And then I'm going to put into some categories I created the different kind of people who are trying to learn how to code. And then finally, we are just going to wrap up, and by this time you should know where you already fall and how you're moving forward. So to start up, why do you want to learn how to code? You have to decide whether it is a process or it is a result of the process that is more exciting for you. And a lot of people start like coding, or they decide that they want to start coding for a lot of reasons, and like we are just going to review some of these reasons why people decide that they want to start coding. All right, some of the common reasons why people decide that they want to start coding, and we have things like, okay, I have an app idea, I want to build an app, maybe something like Snapchat, or I want to start a technology company, I want to build an app like Facebook. Maybe you like, in this case, you just have seen something that has worked and you want to like replicate the model. I would like to build an app or website for my company. Maybe you have a business need, or maybe you're just someone who finds out that we are in the tech era and everyone is learning how to code. You should learn how to code too. Well, that's fine. You might want to make a website for yourself, and or you just want to learn how to code for fun. You just admire programmers and stuff like that. Other people want to code because they are into the scientific world. They are engineers and they really want to tear apart computers and understand how they work. And they want to also pursue careers in engineering and stuff like that. All of these different reasons are some of the things that motivate people to decide that they want to learn how to code, and it's okay. So right now, let me go ahead and just tell you the tale. Imagine that you were watching the news and you saw someone on TV, and he was being praised, he or she was being praised because he was able to translate a statement from English to Spanish. Maybe the statement was "Make Spain Great Again," and then he or she translated this statement to Spanish. And you decided, all right, I want to be like this person who translated a statement into Spanish so that I could do something good for myself as well. So you have two options. The first option is you could just learn how to translate that statement to Spanish, or you could learn Spanish as a whole. Now, the difference between the two is one is more straightforward and the other is not. Learning how to translate a statement to Spanish directly is more straightforward, it's easier, and it is more result focused than the process. It's faster, it's goal oriented. But learning how to speak Spanish is kind of more robust. At the end of the day, you'll be able to translate the statement to Spanish, but you will also be able to translate other statements to Spanish as well. So we are just going to go ahead and divide the different kinds of people into categories, and then we are going to use the translate to Spanish fiction or whatever to like put into perspective these different kinds of people. So the purpose of the tale is to help you realize that coding is like speaking a natural language, say French or Portuguese, and also very importantly, see that learning how and what to think is more important than just learning a language. Otherwise, you will have nothing meaningful to say in any language. So yeah, the tale I'm telling you is just to make you realize that coding is like speaking in a certain language, like you are translating what you're thinking in your head into some machine language or some language that the computer understands. So even though that's how coding is, like it's quite straightforward. There are certain scenarios where you can, or there are certain tools that you can just use and get the computer produce something for you without really knowing how to speak the language of a computer. Or you could decide to learn the language of a computer. It's like in this case using Google Translate to translate from English to Spanish, or just learning Spanish and knowing how to translate yourself. A good example, maybe if you want a website for yourself and you're more focused on the result, the website, and not the process, you're not really excited about programming. You are just like, okay, I just need a website and that's why I want to learn programming, because maybe I don't have money to pay someone for this. Maybe you could consider using something like WordPress, but that's me letting the cat out of the bag before time. I'm just going to go ahead and like put again into more perspective what I'm trying to explain here. All right, what are the categories of people that want to learn how to code? Okay, for these categories I asked two questions: what makes you happier and what makes you more excited? Is it the final result, like an app, a website, or whatever, or is it the coding, or is it even both? You should ask yourself these two questions. It might help you put you into one of these categories, two of them, or all, because the categories are not mutually exclusive. So we have three main categories of people who decide that, all right, I want to learn how to code. And these three categories include entrepreneurs, enthusiasts, and computer scientists. The people who are more goal oriented, like they just want to learn programming because they want to get something done. Like they are not really interested per se in programming, or they don't really care. They just want to do it because they have a need that they want to address immediately, or maybe in the long run. I like to categorize them as entrepreneurs. And then the next set of people are enthusiasts, who are maybe they are just following a lot of tech news, or they are just having a lot of tech friends. They are just interested, like they have some interest in tech. They want to know what is going on, and many of the times they are somewhere in between the entrepreneurs and the the engineers or the computer scientists. Maybe you just have a lot of friends who are in tech and stuff like that. And usually the transition for this category of people from enthusiasts to being actual computer programmers and stuff like that is very easy, because you just hear stories like, okay, I was just interested, I wanted to try it out, and yeah, I found it very interesting. The more I tried to get into it, and then boom, I'm now an engineer, or I'm now a computer programmer. And then the computer scientists and engineers are just people who have a background in science, or who have taken a fundamental course in CSC, that's computer science, or they are doing some engineering program, or something which is more, or which is actually science, because there's a lot of science that predates programming in the engineering sector. And now they have finally decided to expand their horizons by learning how to code. These are the three main categories of people that really get into coding. And I'd just like to say something about the category and the ability. No matter the category, it doesn't really have anything, or it has little to do with your ability. And like I said, the categories and the abilities are, or the category and the ability, they are not mutually exclusive. They can happen together. You could find an entrepreneur who is trying to solve a problem, but is really an engineer. He's deep into the whole stuff. Or you could find an engineer who develops some entrepreneurial skills and is trying to solve problems. So wherever you fall, you shouldn't feel like, okay, coding is not for me, or stuff like that. I just want it to be very clear that the reason why we are creating these categories is for us to be like goal oriented, like to really decide why you're learning programming. If you just want an app or a website, then you should save time and get an app done, or a website using existing tools that work well. You should really evaluate if you really want to learn programming based on your needs. You shouldn't just like, okay, hear that there's programming and everyone is doing programming, everyone should know how to code, and then you just jump into it. That's why the categories are there. So this is not to discourage anyone to learn how to code, but it's just to put things into like clearer perspective, so that you understand your needs. And in the next video, which is actually going to be part 2, we are going to talk about actually the path for those who have decided that they want to learn how to code. Like, all right, I'm going to tell you how you can start, what languages you can learn, and yeah, you could pick it up from there. Your coding journey has already started with this video. And then for those who decided, all right, I was just looking for a way to get something done, I am going to do a third video, where in this video I'm going to talk about the various tools that people use to get things done, or different kind of things done, without necessarily knowing how to code. Maybe making an app, making a website, or automating some process at your company, maybe using Microsoft Excel or something. And depending on how complex what you want to do is, you're going to decide if you really want to learn how to code, or you want to just go ahead and find something and do it with that stuff because it's quite simple. Or maybe you just want to focus on the business side, and then you find a tech partner who is good with the tech, and you can concentrate on doing the business. It's all up to you. So that's it for part 1, and thank you so much from everyone here at Stacknet. You can like the video if you find it interesting, and subscribe, so you get notifications for our next video. Thank you so much. Until next time.